Now, I can speak from experience many times over. Owning a pet is the best feeling in the world. Coming home, or maybe even just waking up and having that friendly, furry, purring face greet you is priceless. And the bond and love that you share is something that will last a lifetime. Now, perhaps you've never owned a pet before, but really want to. Well, today we are joined by Dr. Michelle Enslin, the resident vet for Boehringer Ingelheim, to tell us everything we need to know about owning a cat for the very first time. Doc, first of all, how are you? Great to be connecting with you.
I'm great, Graham. Thank you so much for having me here again. I'm so excited to be on the show.
Especially broaching something that could be the best thing that ever happens to anyone. I love that I've got both dogs and cats, and recently got a new kitten from a shelter, and she has transformed our lives. She is amazing. But let's start at the very beginning. Bringing a new kitten home. I was informed and advised that you need to keep the cat in one room when you introduce them to a new home. Is this true? And if so, how do you recommend we approach this?
Cats are not the same as dogs at all. They're a completely different species. And when you have a dog and you just bring them home and you put them down and let them just sort of run around your house, that is not the case with cats. Cats as a species are much more sensitive to their environment. They're very particular to their surroundings and to the area that they deem home. So when you do bring home a kitten, the recommendation is just in the carrier, put them in the center of the room, close the door, sit away from the cat in the corner, and open the carrier door and allow the kitty to actually explore on his or her own terms and come out whenever they are ready and have a sniff around and keep them in there for a few days. So just make sure that all the windows are closed, that the door is closed, that it's only one entrance, one exit. And then, of course, just make sure that there's always fresh water, food, and a clean litter tray as well. And then after a few days, then you can start to let them slowly, under controlled circumstances, explore the rest of your home. If you don't do that, there is this big opportunity for the cat, if he or she feels scared, that they can just jump out of the window and run away. They won't just come to you.
So, Doc, do kittens need their own bed, or is it okay for them to sleep with us in the bed? What do you recommend?
So this is very much individual preference, I must say. Some people really love having cats in the bed with them, but you need to be cognizant of the fact that cats shed and they molt. So you will have cat fur all over your duvet, on your pajamas, and if that's something that doesn't bother you, then absolutely keep them on the bed. And then if not, then you can keep them outside of the room and they can have their own bed or their own igloo. That's absolutely fine.
You say that like we have a choice when it comes to cats. The cats will decide where it wants to sleep, and he will make that choice.
Inevitably, he'll do what he wants.
Exactly. In terms of health, which is vital, once we've got our new kitten, or perhaps even an older adopted rescue cat, when should we visit the vet? Is it something that should be done literally on the way home?
I would recommend yes. On the way home, even if you have a little kitten and there's nothing wrong with that kitten, it's quite a nice experience for them to get to know what a veterinary clinical environment is like, so that we can help them adapt better for the future vet visits, as their life with you continues. And also, if you adopt an older shelter cat and you're unsure of their medical history, then a stopover at the vet is very important for him or her to check the cat out, do a clinical exam, and see if there's anything else that needs to be done, vaccinations, deworming, all of that.
Yeah, what I love, I adopted my little Honey from dog, and they went through that process with me. So you are really well set. By the time that kitten comes home with you, you know that all the vaccinations have been done. She's been chipped. Everything that needs to happen is in place. What other medications and health protocols do we need to keep up?
Well, first and foremost, tick, flea, and deworming are very, very important. And this is actually why broad-line spot-on for cats is so great, because it's one treatment that you put on. It's a spot-on the back of the neck, and you give it monthly, and that covers for all your ticks, your fleas, your worms, and your mites. And along with that, vaccination is obviously very important. Remember, Graham, that we live in a rabies endemic country, and this is something that we have to be really, really careful with. So yearly vaccination is imperative over and above your monthly tick, flea, deworming control.
Okay, have a schedule and stick to that. Let's talk about diet. What do we need to know about feeding our cats? How often do we have to feed them as well? What dietary considerations need to come into effect?
Well, what's really great these days is that diet for animals has become highly scientific.
Yeah.
These days, diets have been formulated to meet the individual requirements of animals according to their life stages, especially as their lifestyles, whether they're indoor or outdoor, as well as cater to certain individual sensitivities that those animals may have. So my recommendation is that you get your advice from the vet or from a well-informed front staff member at a pet specialized trade outlet. And then in terms of feeding, if you have a young kitten, we usually recommend 3 times a day up until the age of around 5 or 6 months old, and then you can reduce that to twice a day. But cats can also be ad-lib fed, which is also cool. So you can feed them, leave the food out, and they can eat when they're ready.
Yeah, by their own choice, and especially with a younger kitten. Mine's 7 months old now, and the amount of calories she burns per second with her charging around is mind-boggling. So lastly, from one cat lover to another cat lover, I know you have a very soft spot for them. What words of wisdom do you have for new cat owners? How can we understand our beautiful pets a little bit more so we can make them feel comfortable in their new home?
The most important thing to remember is that cats are so independent, and they choose when they want to engage with you and interact with you. And once you come to both accept and respect that part of owning a cat becomes a really unique experience. It's different with a dog, when they sort of come up to you and they love you no matter what. Cats make that choice, and it's on their terms.
Oh, it makes it so much more rewarding when they choose to come and show you some love. But the bottom line is there can be a lot of love there, and it's a very different kind of bond, and something that I wanted for my children especially. And I'm so glad that I've reintroduced cats into my life, and I've got this beautiful dynamic of dog and cat in my living space. But Doctor, thank you so much. Some sage words of wisdom there, and I love the fact that you love what you do so much. We certainly get infected by that, so thank you so much for spreading some of that love today.
Absolute pleasure, Graham. Thanks again for having me.
Cats are, yes, mysterious and sometimes confounding, but they are wonderful companions and can bring so much love and companionship into your life. So give them plenty of love back and make sure that they are happy and, most importantly, healthy at all times. And one way to do that is to keep them medically protected against parasites every month with Broadline Broad Spectrum Protection Solution for Cats. It's a one-stop shop. You can shop it online, in fact, at petheaven.co.za and get some great advice there as well. And if you have any cute photos of your cats and you, please share them. You know we want to see them.